All right, diving right in as usual here on the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty cool. It's a collection of, get this, over 200 so-called brain hacks, all backed by science. And let me tell you, sifting through all that info, well, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But hey, that's what we're here for, right? To break it down and find those nuggets that can really make a difference.
Exactly. We want to give you the most practical, the most surprising, and dare I say, even entertaining insights to help you sharpen your focus, boost that memory, and basically just upgrade your brain power.
No more feeling like you're stuck in a boring textbook. So, with over 200 of these brain hacks, where do we even begin?
Well, a lot of them, as you might guess, revolve around what we eat, the fuel that powers our brains.
Makes sense. You are what you eat, right?
That old saying definitely holds some truth. And the overarching message here is to favor plant-based foods and make sure you're getting those good fats.
Okay, so what are we talking about specifically?
Well, they've got this handy list of 10 foods to favor, and it's a pretty good mix. Beans and legumes, so chili lovers, rejoice. Coconut oil, fatty fish like tuna and salmon, all about those omega-3s. Then leafy greens, spinach, kale, all that good stuff.
So far, so good. What else?
Nuts raw or dry roasted is best. Olive oil, cruciferous veggies like broccoli, lean poultry like chicken breast, whole grains, and get this, even wine. In moderation, of course.
Okay, now for the tough part, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they've also got the 5 foods to forget, and some of these are, well, let's just say they require some willpower. Butter and margarine, cheese, no surprise there, fried foods, tough one, but we knew it was coming.
Rouse.
Pastries and desserts, another ouch, and red meat, especially the processed kind, high in fat, bacon, sausages, all that.
Okay, so there's got to be some science behind these lists.
Right? It's not just random. See, saturated fats, the kind that are solid at room temperature, those can actually slow down your brain. Meanwhile, plant-based foods, they're packed with nutrients that help your memory and can even lower blood pressure, which is huge for overall brain health.
So basically, it's all about fighting inflammation and loading up on nutrients.
Exactly. And you mentioned omega-3s, those are really important. Studies show they can improve memory, make those fluid intelligence networks in your brain stronger. That's your ability to solve new problems and even slow down age-related decline.
That's pretty amazing. And we have to get this through our diet, right? Our bodies can't make omega-3s on their own.
That's right. And speaking of diet, this collection goes deep on vitamins and minerals too. It's a pretty extensive list, really highlighting how all these tiny nutrients impact our brains.
Where do we even start?
Well, let's hit some of the big ones. Vitamin E, classic antioxidant, you'll find it in vegetable oils, nuts, seeds, and of course those leafy greens. Then there's riboflavin, also known as vitamin B2. Super important for getting energy from food and keeping your nerves healthy.
What kind of foods are we talking about for riboflavin?
Beef liver is a good source. Enriched grains, leafy greens again, yogurt, milk, and whole grains. And the sources actually mention the RDA for riboflavin, reminding us how much we need.
So important to get enough.
Absolutely. Okay, what about vitamin A? This one's another antioxidant powerhouse, protecting brain cells from damage and keeping that blood flowing to deliver all those nutrients and oxygen.
So 2 forms of vitamin A, right? Retinol from animal foods and those carotenoids from plants.
Yep, you got it. And let's talk about the B vitamins because, wow, they are busy in the brain.
They always seem to be in the mix when it comes to anything cognitive.
Absolutely. Vitamin B12 is a big one. A deficiency can actually mimic age-related cognitive decline. It might even be helpful for things like Alzheimer's and sleep disorders. And there's no established upper limit, which is interesting.
So no worries about overdoing it with B12, it sounds like.
Well, always good to talk to your doctor, but yeah, the research is pretty reassuring there. Then we have vitamin B6, also known as pyridoxine, essential for brain function, stress management, and even keeping our body chemistry balanced. Older adults might need more of this one.
Is there an upper limit for B6?
There is, so it's worth being mindful of that, especially with supplements. Now, vitamin B1, or thiamine, this one's a potent antioxidant and key for metabolism. A severe deficiency can actually lead to dementia.
Wow, that's serious.
It is, and they highlight that heavy alcohol use can up your risk of B1 deficiency. And let's not forget niacin, or B3. This one's crucial for energy production in the brain. Without enough, you might experience memory loss, confusion, even depression. It also helps regulate cholesterol and is being studied for potential roles in schizophrenia and Alzheimer's.
Wow, quite the resume for niacin. Okay, what about folic acid, or B9?
This one's all about healthy blood flow to the brain, and it might help reduce those age-related cognitive issues. It's essential for DNA and hemoglobin formation, and a deficiency can actually increase your risk of forgetfulness and dementia.
And there's an upper limit for folic acid supplements too, right?
There is. It's always smart to be aware of those. Now let's talk about vitamin C, everyone's favorite immune booster.
I bet it's good for the brain too.
You bet. It's an antioxidant, helps produce neurotransmitters, which are those chemical messengers in the brain, and might even play a role in preventing Alzheimer's. Improved mood, intelligence, protection against cell damage, artery health, blood pressure regulation. The list of benefits is long.
Where do we get our vitamin C?
Lots of fruits and veggies. And yes, there's an upper limit to keep in mind. All right, let's move on to minerals, starting with iron.
What does iron do for our brains?
So many things. It's vital for cognitive functions and for producing myelin, which is like the insulation around your nerve fibers, helping them send signals fast. Even a mild deficiency can mess with your thinking.
So we got to make sure we're getting enough. What are some good sources?
Lean meats, beans, lentils, fortified cereals, lots of options. But be careful with supplements. They can be risky if you take too much. Always best to talk to your doctor about that.
Good advice. What about magnesium?
So magnesium, this one helps our neurons use energy, makes other antioxidants work better, and might even play a role in preventing Alzheimer's. It turns out the balance between magnesium and calcium in your brain is super important, and studies show that getting enough magnesium could even lower your stroke risk.
Wow, that's significant.
It is. Okay, let's talk about phosphorus. This one's vital for every single tissue in your body, including your brain. It helps with hormone balance, digestion, and even activating those B vitamins we were talking about. It's pretty rare to be deficient in phosphorus, though.
What are some good sources if we want to make sure we're covered?
Nuts, seeds, meat, eggs, fish, whole grains, wheat, potatoes. It's in a lot of stuff. And they actually mention the RDA for adults, which is helpful.
Okay, so next up, selenium. What does this one do?
Another antioxidant champ. Selenium helps protect your cells from damage. You can find it in broccoli, cabbage, garlic, onions, and even some organ meats like kidney and liver. Whole grains, seafood, milk, those are good sources too.
And finally, calcium. We usually think of bones, but I bet it's important for the brain too.
Oh yeah. It helps with those electrical signals that brain cells use to chat with each other. It works alongside vitamin D and phosphorus, and it's important for bone health, of course.
So we need to get enough, but not too much.
Exactly. There's an upper limit for calcium, and taking too much can have some downsides. All right, then we got a quick mention of zinc, manganese, copper, and potassium, especially in pumpkin seeds.
Interesting.
Yeah, pumpkin seeds are like a little mineral powerhouse, and all those minerals are important for brain function in different ways. And believe it or not, even trace minerals get a shout out.
Trace minerals, what are those?
Things like cobalt, fluoride, iodine, molybdenum. They're essential for the brain, but we only need them in tiny amounts. A good, varied diet usually covers us there.
So no need to obsess over those.
And not really, but they do mention that iodine deficiency can lead to brain fog, memory issues, and even depression, so that's worth noting. And finally, let's talk about amino acids. It seems like supplementing with certain ones could be beneficial.
I've heard of that. Which ones are we talking about?
So the conversion of an amino acid called arginine into something called spermine is mentioned as being good for memory. And choline, that's a big one because it's needed to make acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that's super important for memory. Older adults might be more likely to be deficient in choline.
So much to think about when it comes to what we eat. And it's not just about individual nutrients, it's also about the types of fat we're consuming.
Right. They emphasize healthy fats in moderation. You know, things like nuts, which have those omega-3s, avocados with vitamin B6. But the key is to distinguish between the good fats and the bad fats.
So the good fats are unsaturated, right?
Exactly. Unsaturated fats, like those in olive oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds, are the ones to prioritize. But saturated fats, hydrogenated fats, and trans fats, those are the ones that can cause problems.
What kind of problems?
Well, they can raise your bad cholesterol and lower your good cholesterol, and they can even mess with energy production in your brain cells. So it's best to limit those as much as possible. And speaking of cholesterol, the sources also talk about cholesterol and triglycerides and how they can affect the brain, especially increasing your risk of stroke and other cognitive disorders.
Definitely something to be mindful of. Okay, so beyond these broad categories, are there specific foods they recommend for brain health?
Tons. Beans are great for memory and blood pressure. Green leafy veggies, again, those are a star player for memory, blood pressure, and they're loaded with vitamin E and riboflavin. Fatty fish, gotta get those omega-3s.
What about nuts?
Nuts are fantastic. Improve cognition, provide omega-3s, and even help you absorb iron when you eat them with vitamin C-rich foods. Olive oil is a good source of healthy fats. Cruciferous veggies have compounds that might boost brain function. Sweet potatoes, those are a real standout.
I love sweet
They're
potatoes.
amazing, right?
Yeah.
They might improve memory, reduce Alzheimer's risk, help keep your blood sugar stable, and they're full of beta-carotene, vitamins E and B6, potassium, iron, fiber, the list goes on.
Okay, so sweet potatoes are going on the shopping list. What else?
Whole grains are important too, for steady glucose release and all those brain-boosting vitamins and minerals. Even oatmeal gets a thumbs up for its soluble fiber and potential to help delay cognitive decline. And there are some maybe less obvious brain foods too.
Like what?
Sea vegetables, those are loaded with vitamins, minerals, protein, fiber, even iodine. Grapes and grape juice are interesting because they might prevent plaque formation in the brain and protect against stroke and neurotoxins. And then, of course, we have coffee, which can make you more alert by blocking a neurotransmitter called adenosine.
I definitely rely on my morning coffee.
Me too. Green tea is another good one for its antioxidants, which might be good for memory and learning. And oolong tea joins the ranks too, with its catechins. Those are antioxidants that can help remove metals from your body and polyphenols, which might help with stress. There's even some suggestion it could protect against Alzheimer's, and it has caffeine for that extra alertness.
Wow, so many brain-boosting beverages.
There are. And believe it or not, even dark chocolate makes the cut.
Now that's what I like to hear.
Right. It has flavonoids and might lower blood pressure and help keep your blood vessels healthy. Pumpkin seeds are another interesting one. They're full of zinc, magnesium, manganese, iron, copper, phosphorus, omega-3s, omega-6s, and they even contain glutamate, which can be converted into GABA, a neurotransmitter that helps you relax and might improve memory and focus. And we can't forget about avocados for their vitamin B6 and blueberries for their antioxidant power. Even garlic and onions have compounds that might help prevent age-related decline.
So basically, we should be adding garlic and onions to everything.
Pretty much. And they also mentioned salmon, another great source of those essential omega-3s, and turkey, specifically white meat, because it's a good source of choline, which is that precursor to acetylcholine, the memory neurotransmitter. And quinoa, often called an Incan superfood, is a complete protein source with lysine and tons of brain-boosting minerals and B vitamins. And last but not least, dried fruits. As long as you choose ones without added sugar, they can be a great concentrated source of nutrients.
So many amazing brain-boosting foods out there. But are there any specific things we should try to avoid? You mentioned mercury earlier.
Yeah, mercury is a big one. Even low levels might increase your risk of Alzheimer's, potentially contributing to those plaques and tangles that form in the brain.
And it sounds like spices and herbs are important players too.
Absolutely. Turmeric, with its active compound curcumin, is a superstar. It's anti-inflammatory, might help repair the brain, and even promote the growth of new brain cells. Some studies even suggest that cultures that eat a lot of curry, which often contains turmeric, have lower rates of Alzheimer's. But curcumin can be hard for the body to absorb, so it's best to eat it with food. And there are some cautions for people with liver or gallbladder problems, or if you're taking blood thinners or NSAIDs. Gotu kola, also called Indian pennywort, is caffeine-free and has been used traditionally for both mental and physical strength. It might improve circulation and even help you concentrate better. Ginseng's another well-known one for memory and learning, reaction time, attention, and even protecting against stress-related mood issues. And sage is mentioned for its ability to enhance memory, possibly by increasing acetylcholine production.
What about herbs for calming down and reducing stress?
Oh yeah, there are some great ones. Hawthorn berries are good for lowering high blood pressure, and they're also antioxidants. Chamomile is a classic for anxiety, relief, and sleep. Valerian is a herbal sedative that might increase GABA levels in the brain. And hops have calming effects and might help with tension and sleep.
So many options. And then there are botanicals and phytonutrients, which are those beneficial compounds found in plants.
Right. Those offer a whole range of brain-boosting benefits. Phenolic compounds, which you'll find in fruits, veggies, grains, and teas, are powerful antioxidants that might help protect against neurodegenerative diseases. Allylic sulfides, found in onions and garlic, and indoles and isothiocyanates, which are in cruciferous veggies, might help prevent age-related decline and improve brain function. Saponins, found in things like chickpeas, nuts, oats, and spinach, are also antioxidants. Lignans, especially in flaxseed, support brain function. And monotropines, found in citrus fruits and cherries, might help prevent neurological damage. So basically, eating a wide variety of plants is key.
It all comes back to eating the rainbow, right?
Exactly. And all of this leads to the idea of a brain-healthy diet.
What does that look like?
Basically, it's about balancing your intake across all the food groups. Lots of grains, a couple of servings of fruit, several servings of veggies, moderate amounts of dairy and protein, and just a little bit of healthy fats and oils. The most important things are variety and eating 3 balanced meals a day. And a multivitamin can be a good idea to fill in any gaps.
They also mentioned a supplement called SAME. What's that all about?
So SAME is a compound that's naturally found in your body, and it might help increase levels of certain neurotransmitters. It's shown some promise for improving mood disorders, sometimes even faster than some antidepressants. But, and this is really important, you should never self-medicate with SAME, and you should definitely avoid it if you have certain health conditions or are taking certain medications. It's definitely something to talk to your doctor about.
It's really amazing how complex the relationship between our diet and brain disorders is.
It's true. The sources touch on the connections between diabetes and Alzheimer's disease, and they also emphasize the roles of inflammation and cholesterol in overall brain health. It's all connected.
All right, so let's shift gears from what we eat to how we live. It seems like our lifestyle choices are just as important for our brains as what we put in our mouths. Let's talk about stress. It sounds like chronic stress can really do a number on our brains.
Oh, yeah. Stress releases these hormones called glucocorticoids, which can be toxic in high amounts. You can also stop the brain from regenerating and creating new cells.
So what does that actually mean for us?
It means that when you're stressed, your brain is basically struggling to keep up. Stress creates these damaging free radicals, makes you forgetful, makes you anxious. It even makes it harder for your brain to grow new cells.
So chronic stress can actually shrink our brains.
It can. Certain areas of the brain, like the hippocampus, which is super important for memory, can actually shrink under chronic stress. And all of this can increase your risk of mental illness, Alzheimer's, dementia. It can even kill brain cells in extreme cases.
That's pretty scary stuff. What are some signs that we might be too stressed?
They mentioned a few key things. Constantly feeling like you can't relax, having mood swings, getting headaches a lot, and having trouble sleeping. Recognizing those signs is the first step to doing something about it.
Okay, so what can we do to manage stress better?
The first thing is to just admit you're stressed. Don't try to ignore it. Then focus on the problems you can actually control, and try not to dwell on the things you can't change. It's about focusing your energy where it can make a difference.
They also talk about combating cortisol, that stress hormone you mentioned.
Cortisol's tricky because we need it, but too much of it for too long is a problem. And that's what happens when we're chronically stressed. It kills brain cells, it's linked to Alzheimer's, and that hippocampus shrinkage. But the good news is we can fight back. Exercise, a brain-healthy diet, fish oil, even ashwagandha, which is an herbal supplement.
I've heard of ashwagandha.
Yeah, it's getting more popular. And they also talk about supporting gut health with pre- and probiotics, which can actually help manage stress too. It's all connected.
There's also a lot of talk about finding flow, that feeling of being completely absorbed in what you're doing.
Flow is awesome for your brain because it allows you to take a break from all that stress. And the key to flow is doing something you actually care about, something that challenges you but isn't too hard. Finding that sweet spot where your skills match the task.
So things like hiking, painting, writing, anything that gets you in that zone.
Exactly. And you can even find flow in everyday tasks if you get creative and find ways to add complexity or purpose. And then there's the relaxation response, which is a more structured technique.
What's that all about?
So this one was developed by a doctor named Herbert Benson. And it's basically a way to trigger your body's natural relaxation mechanisms. You just sit quietly and focus on a word, an idea, or even just your breath. Doing this regularly can actually change your physiology, lower your metabolism, slow your heart rate, even change your brainwave patterns to those associated with deep relaxation.
So it's almost like a mini vacation for your brain.
Exactly. It's a powerful way to promote healing and restoration. And deep breathing or belly breathing is another great one. It brings more oxygen to your brain, calms your mind, helps you focus, and might even increase serotonin, which is the happy neurotransmitter.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, serotonin's a good one to have on your side. And it's not all about structured techniques either. They even talk about daydreaming as a form of stress management.
So spacing out can actually be good for us.
It can. Letting your mind wander without forcing it to focus is a way to give your brain a break. It's like hitting the reset button. And believe it or not, even silence can be a powerful stress reducer.
Just being quiet.
Yep. Just a few minutes of intentional silence can do wonders for your nervous system. One study actually showed that when rats were exposed to 2 hours of silence a day, they grew new brain cells in their hippocampus.
Wow. I need to schedule some silence into my day. And of course, we can't forget about sleep. That's like the ultimate brain reset.
Sleep is crucial. Most adults need between 7 and 9 hours of good sleep every night. It allows your brain to clear out waste products, build and strengthen those neural pathways, consolidate memories, and keep your mood stable.
What happens when we don't get enough sleep?
Well, you're more likely to have accidents, make mistakes, and your reaction time slows way down. It's just not worth it. And even napping can be beneficial. It helps move memories from short-term storage to long-term storage, and it can even help you learn better because different parts of your brain become active and rested during a nap.
I'm a big fan of naps.
Naps are great. And then there's the whole beauty sleep concept, which suggests that sleep is when your body repairs and rejuvenates itself at a cellular level.
Okay, so beyond sleep, what are some other stress-busting strategies?
Laughter is huge. It actually gets its own brain hack in the collection. Listening to music you love is another good one because it can flood your brain with dopamine, that feel-good neurotransmitter. And massage therapy is surprisingly beneficial.
I love a good massage.
It can increase alertness, improve your problem-solving skills, make you more relaxed, help you sleep better, and even reduce depression and anxiety by boosting dopamine and oxytocin and lowering cortisol.
It can even activate those happy areas of your brain.
So basically, massage is a brain-boosting miracle worker.
Pretty much. And social connection is another big one. Acts of physical affection, like hugging, can actually protect against stress-related diseases. Studies show that people who hug more and have less conflict get sick less often and have milder symptoms when they do. Social connection is especially important in high-stress jobs, and it works both ways. Giving love and affection is just as beneficial as receiving it.
So basically, spread the love, folks. What about just lighthearted interactions like flirting? Even flirting can release dopamine and PEA in your brain, which creates feelings of well-being and might even speed up nerve signal flow. And when the flirting's reciprocated, it lights up those pleasure centers in the brain. It's all about those positive social connections.
So we should all be flirting more.
In appropriate contexts, absolutely. And cultivating positive emotions like gratitude and commitment in relationships is also huge. Focusing on what you're grateful for can actually activate the emotional centers of your brain, which supports mental health and helps reduce depression and anxiety. It shifts your focus away from those negative emotions, and these benefits build up over time. And commitment in close relationships releases oxytocin, that bonding hormone that supports memory function, relieves stress, and even influences prosocial behavior, making you more likely to be kind and helpful.
So strong relationships are good for our brains.
Absolutely. And even falling in love is like a shot of adrenaline for your brain. It can boost your immune system, make you stronger, increase your creativity, and even trigger the growth of new nerve cells. Pretty amazing, right?
Love really does conquer all, it seems. What about family dinners? Those get a special mention.
Family dinners are great for so many reasons. They improve family relationships, reduce stress levels even for busy working moms, and they help create happier, stronger, more resilient families.
So put down the phones and gather around the table, everyone. And volunteering, that's another one that gets a shout out.
Volunteering is amazing for your brain. It releases dopamine and endorphins, which make you feel good, and it also has some pretty amazing long-term benefits. It can help maintain or even increase the size of the brain's memory center, especially in women, and it improves physical health, which in turn supports brain function.
So get out there and help others. It's good for everyone involved. All right, let's move on to physical activity. It's no surprise that exercise is good for our brains, but what kind of exercise are we talking about?
Well, they recommend aiming for at least 20 minutes a day, but 30 to 60 is even better. Aerobic exercise, like running or swimming, is especially good because it increases blood flow, oxygen, and glucose delivery to the brain. And there's even some emerging research suggesting that exercise might help increase protective molecules in the brain and even promote the growth of new neurons, although that's still being studied.
That's pretty exciting.
It is. The general recommendation is to get at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise a week for overall health, which obviously includes brain health. And there are a lot of specific types of exercise that get mentioned. Walking is great, of course, but they highlight the idea of walk and talk, which is basically combining physical and mental exercise.
Like walking while you're learning a new language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's been shown to be more beneficial for memory than either activity alone. It's the combination that makes the difference. Swimming gets another thumbs up because it increases blood flow to the brain, might have antidepressant effects, could even help generate new brain cells and repair damage, and it activates your whole brain.
So swimming's a brain superpower. What else is on the list?
Tai Chi is great for mood disorders like anxiety and depression, and it's also good for physical conditions like arthritis and high blood pressure. It improves balance, flexibility, and promotes relaxation. And those complex movements really keep your brain sharp.
So it's like a mind-body workout.
It is. And ping pong, believe it or not, is fantastic for your brain. They actually call it aerobic chess because it's so good for you. It's a great aerobic workout, uses your upper and lower body, requires hand-eye coordination, reflexes, and it activates a bunch of different brain areas.
So it's like a mental and physical workout all in one.
Exactly. And dance, they literally just say dance, dance, dance is a great way to get your blood pumping, which is good for your brain. Even lifting weights is good for you.
So basically move your body in any way you enjoy and your brain will thank you.
Exactly. But it's important to listen to your body. If you're in pain, you're pushing too hard.
Good advice. What about Pilates?
Pilates is great too. It's a mindful form of exercise that can improve brain function and has similar stress-relieving benefits to yoga. And even hopping around, they mention hops, the plant used in beer, because it has sedative properties and can be calming. You can drink it as a tea or even use it in a pillow to promote sleep.
I'm all about that. Okay, so let's talk about mental stimulation. This is where things get really interesting, with all sorts of fun and creative ways to keep our brains sharp.
There are so many cool ideas. They recommend things like solving real-world puzzles, trying new foods, celebrating your accomplishments, learning a new language, especially while walking or biking, to boost those memory benefits. And even playing video games.
Video games? Really?
Yeah, certain video games, especially ones that require strategy and problem solving, can be good for your brain. And chess makes another appearance, this time for its mental benefits specifically.
So chess isn't just for grandmasters?
Not at all. Playing chess has been linked to increased IQ, especially in kids, and it enhances activity in the frontal and parietal lobes of the brain, which are involved in problem solving and pattern recognition. It also uses both sides of your brain. And some studies suggest that older adults who play chess regularly might have a lower chance of developing Alzheimer's.
I might need to dust off my chessboard. What are some other brain-boosting activities?
They recommend things like hypnotizing yourself, which can induce a relaxed brainwave state similar to REM sleep, and might improve relaxation, creativity, and even cognitive performance. Hanging out with smart people is another good one.
I can see how that would keep you on your toes.
It does. It forces you to pay attention and make connections, which is good for your brain. And teaching others, sharing your knowledge, that's another great way to strengthen your own mental function. It forces you to relearn things, and it also gives you that sense of purpose and social interaction.
What about taking a trip down memory lane? Is that good for us?
It can be. Nostalgia can actually improve overall brain function and even stimulate short-term memory recall. And if you're planning to visit a museum or attend a concert or play, studying up on it beforehand can make the experience even better and help you remember it later. Even doodling can be beneficial, especially if you're trying to process boring information. It can improve your focus, spark new ideas, and boost your creativity.
So doodling in meetings isn't always a bad thing.
It depends on the meeting, maybe. But yeah, doodling can actually be a good thing. And using physical maps instead of GPS can exercise your spatial reasoning skills. Paying attention to food labels can engage your brain with new information. Playing trivia games is a fun way to jog your memory and get a dopamine boost when you get an answer right. And having a hobby, anything that stimulates your mind, can help protect against cognitive decline and create new connections in your brain.
So many great ideas. What else is on the list?
Working your brain with complex arguments, math problems, visual spatial puzzles, all of that is good for you. And reading, anything you enjoy, can benefit your brain. But novels have been shown to be especially good for enhancing brain connectivity. Challenging yourself with more complex material, reading carefully to improve your memory, and discussing what you've read with others can all boost your brain power. Even paying attention to the language you use and trying to avoid cliches can be a good mental workout.
I'll try to be more mindful of that. What about watching TV?
They recommend watching intelligent, informative programming, like documentaries or educational shows. Avoid the mindless stuff, but engage your brain with something that makes you think. And aromatherapy can actually be beneficial too.
Aromatherapy.
Yeah. It sounds a little out there, but certain scents can actually stimulate the hypothalamus, which plays a role in your moods, motivation, and creativity. Using pleasant scents that evoke positive memories can be especially helpful. And attending lectures on topics you're interested in is another great way to learn new things and stay mentally sharp.
Any other suggestions?
Oh yeah. Reviewing your own work. Coloring, visualization, writing poetry, telling stories, jogging your memory, learning new words, making art. These are all great ways to keep your mind active. And singing has tons of benefits. It's calming, makes you happier, it helps you retain memories, and it might even improve your working memory and cognitive processing. Simply being creative, creating something new, whether it's art, a recipe, a solution to a problem, it all uses your whole brain and helps you relieve stress.
What about memorization?
Memorization is a great way to exercise your brain.
Hmm.
And practicing math, doing calculations in your head, even challenging yourself with advanced math or chemistry can all help keep your mind sharp. And stimulating all of your senses is important too. They even mentioned paying attention to food labels and using maps as ways to do that.
So it's all about finding those little opportunities to engage our brains in everyday life.
Exactly. They also mentioned something called the 8-second rule, but they don't explain what it is. It's probably a specific tip that we just don't have the details on. And they also emphasize the importance of knowing your numbers, like your cholesterol levels, blood pressure, and all those other important health indicators.
Okay, so we've talked about what to eat, how to manage stress, and how to keep our minds active. Now let's talk about social connection. It seems like that's a recurring theme when it comes to brain health.
It's huge. Socializing releases all those feel-good chemicals that are good for our brains, and being physically present with others seems to be especially beneficial. Family dinners are great for relationships and reducing stress. Volunteering has all those amazing